Good morning, students. Today I am going to tell you about some of the important questions in physics for your AP board examination. IP questions I just going to mention in this case. Okay, before going to that, we just go through on the blueprint of your AP board examinations. First, you just concentrate on 8 mark questions from the three important chapters. One is about waves, current, electricity, and third one is nucleus. From these three, first any two chapter, if you cover this one, at least you can attend two questions from this one. See, listen here, waves is most important. From this one you are having 5 questions, and the current electricity only 3 questions are there. If you are going to complete any two chapter, compulsory you can attend 2 questions, but you have to cover all the two chapters question. And nuclei also only 3 questions will be there. And in addition, from current electricity and nuclear, you are having a problems. I just tell you important questions for these three chapters first. See this one, this is about the waves. See this one, standing waves or even stationary waves, and closed and open organ tube. And this question, this is about the Doppler effect and Doppler shift. And current electricity maximum they are concentrating on this question, Kirchhoff law. Later one, this one potentiometer and a comparison of EMF. These three questions only frequently asked the first two questions, and some of the 2 mark questions from this chapters also most important. According along to this one, this potentiometer, they may ask you some of the problem. These are all the chances for you for 8 mark questions. You have to read all three 8 mark questions, including weightage here is a 6 mark will be given for this one, and another 2 mark will be given for the problem. See, these are all 2 mark questions, and these are all some of the problems. But here, these questions rarely they have removed from JEE mains, but here it will be there for you for your MSET examinations. So these are all the problems you have to go through on this. All these three are important questions I have mentioned here in a star mark. Go through on this one compulsory. The third chapter, this is about the principle and working of nuclear reactor. This is most important. And you just go through on this one radioactivity, interstellar, this one carbon nitrogen cycle and proton proton cycle. Even in carbon nitrogen cycle, they have like mentioned like a Bunsen ring like a structure. Based on this one, you can easily understand the steps of carbon nitrogen cycle little more easy on this. Go through on this chapter, even if it is available in net also. You just go through on this. First you just concentrate on understand the this Bunsen ring. According to this, you can go through on the steps. It will be little easy. First you just finish your nuclear reactor, including the diagram which is available in the net internet also. You just go through on this. These three questions are most important in this chapter, and some of the problems also they may ask you in nuclear reactor. And these are all the 4 mark questions which is important in this case. I have mentioned in 3 star and 2 star according to the weightage. 2 mark questions here. Frequently this one myopia, hypermetropia and all they used to ask on this one. And this one focal length and radius of curvature, that one they used to ask in this chapter. And some of the problems in this chapter. And wave optics, frequently they will ask you for this one Doppler effect. Listen here, this is about Doppler effect in case of light, but the previous one, that is a waves, that is about Doppler effect and Doppler shift for the sound. This is for the light, that one is for the sound. Remember this one. And this one frequently asked the question, this one is Coulomb's law, Coulomb's inverse square law. And sometimes they may ask you rarely Gauss law also. Now, from this chapter, electric potential and capacitance, from this chapter, you are having a 4 mark and 2 mark questions. Here, this one, capacitance of parallel plate capacitor C is equal to A epsilon naught divided by D. That one they used to ask. And this one, series and parallel combination of capacitor C. Only the resistor and capacitor, there are some differences. Resistor in series R equivalent equal to R1 plus R2, but in this case C equivalent 1 by C1 equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2, that is in series, and parallel both are in opposite way, that will be there. concentrate on this one. And third one, the most important one, is a electrical potential due to point charge. They used to ask this one. And problems on this chapter, these are all some of the problems. You just go through on these 2 mark questions. This will be little easy. Next one is moving charges and magnetism. From this chapter, the weightage here is 4 mark and 2 mark questions. See, from this chapter, frequently asked question here is Biot-Savart law and Ampere's law. And the third most important one is cyclotron. From these three, first they will ask you the questions frequently. And 2 mark questions, this one, Oersted experiment. And some of these questions they used to ask frequently. And 2 mark questions from this chapter, moving charges and magnetism. Uh, some of the problems also they used to ask from this chapter. This one you just go through on this. Next one is magnetism and matter. You are having only 2 mark questions, but from this chapter you are having two 2 mark questions. This one, magnetic inclination, magnetic declination, and this one, uh, these three questions. See here, all this one. What are the things I have marked here? They used to ask frequently from this chapter. See this one. First 8 questions you just go through frequently used to ask from this chapter. From this chapter, definitely you are having two 2 mark questions. Next one, electromagnetic induction. See here, eddy current and usages and its advantage. They used to ask this questions first. And next one is this one. This questions. And some of the 2 mark questions they used to ask, but in this case you are not having a 2 mark question, but sometimes they used to ask these questions, but rarely they will ask you from this chapter. And some of the problems from this chapter, electromagnetic inductions and alternating current, very few questions they used to ask from this chapter. At least one questions will be there from this chapter. And electromagnetic waves you are having only 2 mark questions. This one, average wavelength they used to ask for this one. And this is most important, application of microwaves and radar. These are all frequently asked questions. How microwaves are produced, that under they used to ask for this chapter. And dual nature and radiation you are having 2 mark questions, the same one. They used to ask what you mean by photoelectric effect, cathode rays, and deep or ugly wavelength. This one, Heisenberg uncertainty principle is most important. And work function, what do you mean by work function? They used to ask this one. In this case, the energy is required to remove the electron from the surface. That is about the minimum energy, that is called as work function. Remember that key point you have to mention always for these questions. Okay, now the next one is the 4 mark question from the chapter atoms. From this one, I have mentioned here three dotted lines are most important. They used to ask from this chapter. You just go through on this one. This is most important questions, and this one also. Second postulates. These 5 questions are most important. Frequently asked questions. Bohr postulates also over here. Bohr postulates you can go through on this. And a semiconductor, from this one, what is the difference between half wave and full wave rectifier? And what you mean by half wave rectifier? The diagram is most important one. And this one, Zener breakdown and avalanche breakdown. What you mean by n type of semiconductor, p type of semiconductor? And this one, this is most important. What you mean by NAND gate and NOR gate? You just go through on this one from this chapter. And 2 mark questions, very few 2 mark questions which is related to forward and reverse bias and semiconductor only they used to ask. And some of the logic gates also you are getting from this chapter as a 2 mark questions. So this one, these are all important questions for the communication system. Only 6 to 7 questions are there compulsory. You are having one questions. First you just go through on this one, types of modulation. This one, frequency, phase modulation, only three is there. These are and all they used to ask. This is little easy, compulsory. You can get 1 2 mark question from this chapter. Okay, now I just share you the link in this one so that you can download the PDF format so that you can keep it with this one. And if you want to get only for the students, I'm going to suggest the next video only for those who want to get pass mark, that is not getting full mark, but compulsory that questions you can expect. Those who want to secure full mark, For them, you just cover the next video completely, and addition you just go through what are the questions I have suggested to it.